Hey guys, welcome back to our journey of 9 months of owning a landscaping business that we bought with zero out of pocket. So in our ninth month of expansion, we've basically grown this company 150%, and we actually have been the struggles of 150% growth, and I will let Forrest talk about the growth of the company and the struggles that we're having, but also many learning lessons along the way. So, Forrest, I'll let you have the floor.
Sure. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.
So we're 9 months in. We've grown revenue by about 150%. So we're on pace to do a little over a million for 2024, but our run rate is about 1.4 million. So the first
Mm-hmm.
2 months really took a bath, just handing it over from the other owner. I've bought a few other businesses since then, and it happens pretty much every time. You get the
Yeah.
business, and it might do half of what it did last year for the first month, but then you grow from there. And so we are, like I said, on our way towards about 1.4 million run rate. But what we didn't consider, we kind of probably knew, but started to really feel in the last few months is how much the growth sucks cash.
Yeah.
So we've had, I think we talked about it in our last one. We've had to buy like 5 trucks, 2 trailers, 3 mowers,
Yep.
all these different items, as well as marketing, and we had a nice, healthy operating capital account, and much of it's been drained just through to fund this growth.
Yeah.
So the cash is the one piece, but I'd say the other thing that we've really learned is the cash conversion cycle has been
Yes.
huge. So not just the fact of like, all right, you got to have money in the bank account to fund things, but like, when you get money for jobs, you have expenses in the jobs. How quickly can you collect on that? So we weren't even doing really deposits a ton in the beginning, and very quickly we changed that. We were taking 30% on jobs, and now we take 50% on jobs to even get on the calendar. But that's helped immensely, because if you don't do that, then you're incurring all of the expenses. Say you do a job and it's a week or two, you got to pay the payroll for these guys during that time. You got to put money in for materials, and then you're waiting to collect to get back to even, plus a little bit whatever profit you had. But then you're always in the hole from a cash standpoint. So we've been really focusing on those items, is how quickly we collect and getting the deposit, and that has made a huge difference as far as cash flow.
Yeah. And I think just looking back on our progress, I mean, even though it's great, it's just that we didn't expect to have this big of an issue up front. I mean, as we get to this point, but I mean, with the growth, we end up, scaling our employees and staff members and our crews, which basically ate up a lot of cash to fuel that employment, and then trucks, materials, etc. So, going forward, what kind of learning lessons have we implemented, kind of helping solve that cash conversion cycle? I know we security or down payment for the work, but is there anything else that we could have done or implement right now?
Collections is a huge piece.
Yeah.
Making sure you collect like as soon as you can when the job is done. Like trying to get
Yeah.
the foreman to not leave the job without having a check in hand, so that things don't drag on. Another one would be to get the jobs done on time. So if we budget it to be for like 3 or 4 days, but then it goes to like 5 or 6 days, not only does it push out when you collect, but you also have a few extra days of labor. So getting really tight on that has been a key. And then back to the cash side is just having the right margins. So
Yeah.
just learning how long things really take and what we think it'll take on paper to what it actually takes,
Yeah.
and improving the communication between the guys who are doing the work and selling the work.
Kind of the story of all our lives, huh? We just, as entrepreneurs and business owners, you like really forecast and vision what you want, but then life will have its own plans. Like
Exactly.
well, what's really cool about this situation is that the fact that we are very transparent of our process and what we're struggling with, and I don't feel like a lot of business owners are like doing this, right? But I don't want to kind of switch gears a little bit. I know we actually onboarded basically a GM, and how he's basically taking the leadership role, and how he's more or less like running the day-to-day company and I don't know if you could speak about that for us and kind of some of the learning lessons there from hiring a GM.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a really good job kind of stepping up and running the day to day. I think we've gotten to a point where we grew so quickly that he was doing sales and the operations, and it kind of stretched him pretty far. So
Yeah,
now we're at the point of how do we offload some of that day to day to the foreman? And I'm doing a really big push on how do we create the next round of leaders, not just me and the GM, but like how do we get the foreman involved to where they're the cadre of guys stepping up and taking over. So lately we've been working on getting stuff off of the GM's plate, like ordering or even coming up with some of the scheduling and
yeah,
getting it off his plate so that he can focus more on sales.
yeah. As a sales piece, I know we went through a couple of sales guys, and then they didn't work out, right? Or one of them is working out, or what was the case on that?
No, we went through a couple different applicants
Yeah,
and we finally got one and thought we had a decent guy. Turned out to be not very good at sales and had to let him go. We gave him like 6 weeks and he sold like some, but he was selling equal to or slightly less than our GM who was doing it part time. So
yeah,
then, there was no point to have him on board if he can do the same thing. If he's only getting the same result. And then the
yeah,
jobs were being bid a little too low because there was pressure to sell jobs. So I think that's something that we really need to work on is getting a sales person in place, but finding at what level that makes sense to have for the business. Because I've talked to some other business owners and they're much larger than us, and they still have like one GM type person doing the sales role. So we just got to figure out what that level is.
yeah. Okay. Um, and then as far as like the going into operational efficiency, I know we've been leveraging GoHighLevel and Jobber. So we're leveraging
Mm-hmm.
GoHighLevel for our sales process for new clients and outreach of new prospects. And then we're using Jobber for internal clients and managing routes and invoices. I'm assuming, right? They do invoicing
Yep.
as well,
Yeah, even the
and then time
deposits.
tracking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can speak on regards to why are we having two CRM. I mean, it's obvious to me and obvious to us, but like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, talk about the efficiency of the software.
Yeah, so we use Jobber as like the project management tool. So that's going
Yeah,
to take care of maintenance routes. It's going to take care of like billing. It takes care of the jobs. And now we're getting the guys to log all of their expenses and log their time against the jobs. So we know what our margin is for the job. And so everything that goes with the actual like operations, we're running through Jobber. It can do some text messaging and stuff and email, but we mostly relegate that for like collections and just quick communication. But with current customers, the Go High Level is more the marketing and sales side. So we have like our pipeline in there for when leads come in, all the leads get routed there. We're doing all of our automated texts and emails and like videos that are going out. All of that's through Go High Level. So that's the sales and marketing piece, and the Jobber is more the operations piece. That's how we split them up.
yeah, and that's been a huge part of our, I guess, operational efficiency when it comes down to sales and fulfillment, right? And I want to kind of like move into like as far as operational sense of like M&A, like the merger and acquisition side of things. I'll let Noble speak about kind of like what he's been doing on that side and kind of how I guess just giving an update. So I'll leave it up to you, Noble. So what do you got?
Sure, sure. So if we've had quite a few opportunities that we've looked at, but we understand the challenge that comes with buying a landscape company. And what we're really searching for is, I like to use the word Goldilocks company,
Mm,
one that's the right size, has the right operations, and fits seamlessly with what we're currently doing right now. And I would say that's a lesson learned because we've had opportunities, but they might not fit blue ribbon, what we're doing. Um,
yeah,
we also have, I like to mention about how we have a great team. And,
yeah,
our partner and CFO, Ben, he saves us a lot of time by handling, the financials and the underwriting and doing the due diligence side, which also we have Joey, who also helps with that as well.
yep,
And this is really crucial for us to find the right right fit. We're in terms of what we're doing with marketing and acquisitions, we're still actively using Facebook ads, email campaigns, and cold calling. In addition to those, we're continuing to do on market uh, deals as well and sourcing those, and feel you've done a great job with that as well. Uh, and yeah, so we're still doing that. I would say that our two main sources are on market and cold call. So those are still our two main sources. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, so I know Forrest ended up acquiring a irrigation company to be a bolt-on situation for Blue Ribbon Landscape, and then we are actively pursuing a broker deal that's basically in the same general area to basically have another acquisition that we can have like more of the commercial side of things. That's like basically like a touching point for the M&A side of things, and that kind of leads into the marketing for not only if we're doing marketing for the M&A side, we're also doing marketing for the existing business that we currently have. And I know Forrest is a marketing guru here because he used to own a marketing company, so I'll let him speak about our updates for the Blue Ribbon Landscape marketing campaigns.
Yeah, so we, I think I might have shared it in the last one. We shared like the spreadsheet of how we track all the different channels and which ones
Yep.
get sales and what the best returns are. After doing that for a few months, we kind of determined which ones are the best performers. Angie's is still our top performer. So we've doubled down on that. Actually, I guess, yeah, we pretty much doubled down on that. We're spending twice as much in that area. We've added some new ones like Thumbtack was done pretty decent for us, particularly on the maintenance side. And we changed our marketing or our sales process to be virtual for the maintenance. So we do it all on the phone now. We got a guy who can just look it up on Google Maps, get an idea of the property, get a close enough estimate to where we can go out and do one mow, and then we'll confirm if that's the right price. So Thumbtack has been great for that. We've played around some with the Google ads, and they're expensive. We trim back a lot on it. It's the clicks are so expensive these days
Yeah.
that it's almost not worth. You have to spend so much money. Like you basically have to spend $3,000 to get anywhere with them a month. And so we thought, what if? And we tracked it. We did spend the $3,000 for a month or two, and it wasn't any better than our other channels. So we started moving the money towards some of the other ones. Facebook has done pretty decent with us. In fact, we're right on the edge of getting our biggest sale ever for us from Facebook ads. It's like a $50,000 job. We'll see if it ends up going through.
Is that like a hardscaping job?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for $50K, which would be our biggest one. For some people, that's nothing, but
Yeah.
that would be our biggest one so far. And I think it'll, it's looking good. But anyway, that really skews the Facebook return numbers, right?
Right.
That covers a lot of months of marketing spend.
Yeah.
So we figured out which ones we want to do. We pulled it back a little bit after we let the sales guy go because we really took a big bet on him, flooded him with leads. A little bit of a flop there as far as closing the leads. So I turned some of the marketing spend off and turned some of the other ones down so that we could try to make good on some of the leads that he was there for that he didn't convert on and see can we get any last squeezes of juice out of these ones that we paid for. And we've gotten some of them, and now we're starting to get to the point where, all right, we're ready to turn it back on. We've, really done a full blitz and gotten the most of what we could out of these leads. And now we're going to go back out there and market again.
Yeah. I mean, that's so crucial because, you never want to turn marketing off, but if you don't have a process to intake all of that, then you're just basically spending money and just throwing it into like a dumpster fire, basically. And you don't want to do that. I mean, I've done that before in my real estate business. I just have a dumpster fire and I don't know what to do with this. So I just turn off the money.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't have. I mean, the guy who's selling is still the GM, so like he only has so much time that he can go in and do the sales piece for.
Right.
So we have more leads than we have slots for a person to sell.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess how I mean, my logic is telling me just to hire another salesperson, but obviously that's easier said than done because you have to qualify them, they have to understand the business, understand the knowledge, and then also learn how to sell at the same time and
Mm-hmm.
then get the right price. So that's all like within the scope of that individual. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that is how we are going to do it, or are we going to hire or promote from within?
Uh, I'm trying to recruit some different people. We have one, couple different people we're looking at that would fit the bill. It's just the hard part is that like the people who are good at this job, who know landscaping and they're good with people and they know how to price this stuff, that's the
Yeah.
guy who owns his own business.
Yep.
So we're trying to find maybe some partners or maybe do an acquisition to bring someone in and be able to work with them to take that sales role because it's a critical role. But
Yeah.
the people who are good at it tend to have their own gig.
And we're using Facebook ads to find talent, I'm assuming, right? Still?
Yeah, we use Facebook and ZipRecruiter.
As a recruiter? Okay. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how you find talent, guys, if you ever want to hire people, because there's so many lazy folks out there.
And you also can find talent from calling other companies that we're looking to acquire. Like for
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
instance, Lincoln. He's an
Mm-hmm.
estimator, but he's been working with us and collaborating with us. So, we may be able to find some talent on the sales side from another company that might be looking to sell or, whatever it is. But you never know where you can find talent everywhere. But
True.
yeah,
Yeah. You make a good point on that, Noble. Like, I know you found Lincoln through cold calling, right?
cold calling. Yep.
Yeah. And we're looking to basically buy his business, but he ended up working with us because, like, you can have multiple strategies. What you end up basically doing is doing a joint venture agreement with him almost.
Pretty
Mm-hmm.
much.
Yeah, at
But
this point, yeah,
yeah.
we're sharing some resources. He's doing some estimates for us, and more or less just feeling each other out because this is one of those things you just want to jump right into to bed together. You want to take some time
Yeah.
to court and see if we even like working together. So
Yeah.
far, I have nothing but good things to say, but it's better to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. Um, for the customers that the previous owner had, the loyalty, like the loyal customers, because we always talked about customer concentration when we talk to new business owners and how the seller's like, yeah, I have this customer's been with me for X amount of years, they ain't never gonna leave me. And there has been an evolution of what we call legacy or loyal customers from the previous owners to where they are today. So I don't know if you have the numbers here for us, but how many loyal customers from the previous owners that we end up keeping on, and then how many? I guess yeah, how many we kept on?
I'd say maybe probably like 90% stayed on,
Okay.
but we get a 10% or so who like we call them loyalists or legacy customers where and it makes sense. I don't blame them. It's not like I'm upset. I
Yeah.
get where they're coming from, but it just doesn't work. Is that they signed up for this one man band? This guy,
Yeah.
who's the guy they pay. They've known him for 25 years. He comes and does it. They have the cell phone. They can like they're very close with him. And I get that they wanted that, and he's typically underbid at the same time. And then we come in and we change things to make the business better as a whole. But they signed up for one thing and they're getting something else. So I understand where they're coming from, that isn't what they originally signed up for. So we've lost maybe 10% of customers through stuff like that. But we track both the churn of the legacy and the new clients, and I think we have only lost one of the new clients. So
And how
someone who
many?
signs up for what we are off the
Yeah.
bat, we've lost like one of those people.
And how many clients did we end up? I guess acquire. I guess onboarding or acquiring over the course of our ownership,
So
roughly.
like when we
How was
bought
that?
it, I think that we had like
that?
80,
Okay. Yeah, that
and
sounds
then
right.
we lost maybe 10 or so,
Yeah.
somewhere around 8 to 10, and then we're up to like 110 now, so we've added like
Okay.
30 or 40.
Okay, so we basically almost did half of what we
Mm,
what the
50%
what Jeff
increase.
increase. Okay, um,
Yeah.
and all that through basically through marketing, right, from our different channels.
Yeah, I'd say at least half of them were Thumbtack, and then
Okay,
the other half was probably just construction projects. where we do it. And they're like, hey, do you guys do maintenance too? And can I get a quote for that?
And are the legacy customers, are they satisfied with the new service that they have, or is it more of like I'm kind of dealing with it because there's nobody else? I don't feel like calling another landscaping company.
Yeah, I mean they're paying their bill. They seem happy.
Yeah.
There were some issues early on that we had to work through, just getting up to speed. But now it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
they're paying their bill. It's easy for them. I think a lot of people just don't care. The ones we lost are the ones who are like dead set on this. Jeff's my guy kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and that kind of goes into like I want to switch kind of gears, like personal growth and leadership. I know like the acquisitions of business is strenuous, right? You have it's a marathon, and you will go through different cycles of owning a company, just like kind of how any entrepreneurship will go or will do. Like, what are some of your learning lessons as I guess, the CEO of Blue Ribbon Landscape that you've learned over the last 9 months, Forrest?
Yeah, the biggest one is something I've been kind of going through lately is just not tying, like your self worth, for lack of a better term, so much to the results of the business because you get really tied up and, what goes up must come down. And so if you're too pegged to the results, then you end up not kind of enjoying the ride of the process. And I think it makes more sense just to, enjoy the process and let the results be what they are. Still give it 100%, but personally, I can speak for myself. I've really been trying to work on that of detaching myself and how I'm feeling to the results of the business.
Yeah. What about you, Noble? You have any learning lessons and insights on personal growth as time has gone on with Blue Ribbon Landscape?
Yeah, for me, I'm like, I would think that we have another acquisition by now, right? So- but understanding, so, coming from the real estate side, we do 5, 10 deals a month. And on the acquisition side is not so much, but we're just understanding that it's a process. And in the beginning, you like Forrest said, we were going, on a straight trajectory up,
Yeah.
but at the same time, what goes up must come down, and just being able to manage that and understanding what it's like to own a company in the first 9 months. There are going to be a lot of trial and error that you go through, and even on the acquisition side, what type of business is perfect for this company. We would probably source certain deals or acquire a certain company outside of Blue Ribbon that would probably make sense, but with Blue Ribbon probably wouldn't make sense. So just being able to, hear what Forrest is looking for, and what, Ben and Phil and I would kind of come together and figure out what makes the most sense for this company as we grow, is has been important for us, I would say. So yeah, that's kind of where.
Yeah. I'll basically kind of echo you guys. I mean, expectation versus reality is definitely a kick in the balls, more or less, sometimes. And which actually I think it's good because it helps you grow and expand as an individual, but also help you think of creative ways to solve those issues that you end up coming across, right? And being vulnerable is also one of those things that you kind of have to grow into as a leader. So like us, like going over some of the struggles and failures and that we have in the business is like us being vulnerable, but like we're also open to sharing the knowledge that we end up gaining from it. And then when we acquire a new company, like oh, we've already been down this path. Like this is going to be an easy kind of situation that we can solve. Like this is how we did it last time. This is what we're going to do this time. And we just kind of document our journey. I know Force has been a really good student of that. And I know this last piece here that we want to talk about is the cash, the basically the financial management, and how we've just been like the last few months have we been kind of bleeding, just to be honest with you guys, just like bleeding, just due to the immense growth that we've experienced. And so, and I'll let Force speak more on that when it comes down to the financials of the business here. So I'll pass it to you, Forrest.
Yeah, I mean the thing that we tend to start out when we buy a business is like, what's the revenue? right?
Yeah.
We're always trying to grow the top line revenue, grow the top line revenue. But once you get into it, you realize that what's left over is the important part. And so now we're really taking a look at our gross margin because the OpEx is pretty, you can move those things around. You have some control over that. The OpEx or the cost of goods sold is really where the rubber meets the road. How do we convey the service without too much of an expense? Make sure our labor's in the right place, our supplies are there, that we're priced right. We really try to keep like a 50% margin, and we're not quite there, but that's what we're targeting, because out of that 50% remaining is paying for everything else. So all the software, the back office, the customer service, the manager, the sales guy, all of that stuff, rent, everything, all of that comes out of the gross margin. So if right off the bat you're only getting a 30% gross margin, then that doesn't leave a lot for you to pay for all this other stuff on. So really tightening up that gross margin has been our big focus for the last couple months. And with that focus, we are starting to see some improvements, but there's definitely room for us to keep going.
So I guess we can wrap up this call in regards to like what we plan on, like what's our target for Q4? Like basically we're coming up on almost our year of like owning this, and so we actually want to finish strong like any other business, right? So have you given any thought in regards to some of our targets? I mean, for us, acquisition side of things, we want to acquire one more business, and then have that be kind of merged in and kind of grow the revenues that way. But on the operational side of things, what are you kind of shooting for this next quarter?
Biggest one is getting that gross margin as close to 50% as we can.
Mm-hmm.
At least on the projects. On the maintenance, it's a little different because it's a lower margin business, but at least on the project side, we want to hit 50. In the maintenance, ideally we hit somewhere 25 to 30. That's the main thing for me is hitting that gross margin number. Everything else will take care of itself.
Right. And then our crews, we end up growing one more crew, I believe, last time.
We're at
the
4.
last 3 months. We're at 4 crews. And we're at 3 crews last quarter, right? Or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we actually grew another 3 bodies, 3 more employees.
We have one crew of 3, one crew of 2, and then another crew of 3 and another crew of 2. So 2 3s and 2 2s. And
that kind of give you guys some financial management, like math here. Like 4 crews can generate about $1.3 million in revenue. So if you break that math down, what does that come out to be like? So 1.4 divided by 4 crews. Each crew does about 320 to 350 per crew. So that does really good math. I think who was that guy you recommended, Noble, that did that math breakdown? I forgot his name.
Adam.
Yeah, Adam Kofer. Yeah. So. But yeah, that's Kofi. Yeah. So we end up basically utilizing his math, and it basically pencils out from what Forrest ended up basically saying.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for the podcast, guys. You guys have any last words? Anything you guys want to say?
No, man, it's been great work with you guys. I'm looking forward to continued partnership.
Yeah, bro. Well, that's it, guys. Appreciate you guys jumping on the podcast, and I'll see you guys in next quarter.